All right, we are live. Welcome to the PTO meeting. We have an agenda. Do you want me to facilitate?
For it.
All right. So as usual, we're being broadcast live via YouTube, and this will serve as our minutes. And after the meeting, we'll have a link that will then serve as a connection to the recording to the video posted on YouTube, and will still be posted on the Westview and Oakbrook websites.
Sounds much better when you say it
Yeah.
than I do.
Oh, you do a great job.
You add so many
I hope it
details.
sounds like something, assuming the audio is working. We've had some technical difficulties in the past, but our viewers have good results. Moving on, should we do introductions? Is everyone on the room?
Hi everyone, my name is Mrs. Pachali. If you don't know me, I'm a parent. I have two children, one in Oakbrook and one in Westview. Alessia is in first grade with Ms. Walter, and Francesco is with Mrs. Durham.
You go next. We'll go around.
Hi, Mrs. Walter. I teach first grade here.
Tim Shermack, principal here at Oakbrook. Good to see everybody.
Al Luttimer, principal at Westview and president pro temp of the PTO today.
Danielle Larson, and I have a fifth grader.
And I have a fourth grader. And I have a fifth grader.
All right, so
You just said Debbie. Now we're at first name, please.
So president's report.
Okay, you need us to know.
This is a note from Mr. Hernandez, I presume, who was added to the agenda. And so it says, intro to board members, thanks for a great year. We truly do it all for the students. We want to thank Mrs. Garcia from Westview and Mrs. Martin from Oakbrook. You do so much behind the scenes for PTO. Thanks. I know Mr. Hernandez was attending her son's baseball game this evening. That's why she's going to be with us. Let's see. Oh, monthly events here. This is still a report. We have Culver's Night coming up May 28th in Addison. The classroom with the most students to participate will get an additional Culver's ice cream day for your classroom. And that'll be one awarded to the class with the most participation at Westview and one for Oakbrook.
Contest. Right?
I know we have flyers already created for that event, and so we'll get those posted to our websites and get those flyers out and try to promote participation. This is on Lake Street, just a couple miles west of Wooddale area where the Culver's is located. And so I know I'll be providing dinner from there that evening. Dad's cooking.
Done.
All right, so that's all we have for that section. Vice President's report. Ms. Leonos is the Vice President. Mr. Shermack, do you want to add anything?
I was just thinking.
Okay. Secretary's report.
You said my thing.
This is gonna be a great meeting. We
We're moving right along.
don't need to record. We're good.
Treasurer's report, Mrs. Brock.
There we go. So our ending bank account balance currently is at $11,592.95. I'm sorry, we've just had so many activities.
It's great.
Changes you'll see is book fair money. We brought in $1,400. That's gonna sweep out of our account once I get the bill. Yeah, cash. McTeacher night, we made $1186.85. $686 was in tips for teachers.
Oh.
Right,
Oh.
I don't know how they did it, but you guys are awesome. Go Miss Welcome! We are on YouTube.
It's a lot.
Yeah, they brought in a ton. I was counting change all night. Thank you. Ice cream social, we profited $393 this year. It's the second year we've profited for ice cream social. It's also the second year we've done the novelties versus Sundays. Yeah.
A lot easier.
Yeah, but we brought in $578, so that was good. Box tops, which is only collected at Oakbrook, $364.50. Portillo's night brought in $176. But I heard that there was
Half of it was probably my family.
I'm not sure what happened. Last year it was more. Expenses that we had since the Girls on the Run had a community project and they reached out to us. They wanted to, want to show them the letter?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I can bring that up. can I, no, I was gonna get thank you notes for that, but I can show the letter too. Can I do airtime there? Is that okay? Is it Chromecast or airtime?
It's everything.
So, why don't you go on and I'll pull that up.
They were making, like little thank yous for the bus drivers. I think it was a cup with candy.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. So we helped funded that. Other expenses that have occurred, Moms and Muffins, we spent $125. That's only at Oakbrook. Fifth grade recognition, that'll be May 29th. They're going to Bensonville Theater. Do you know what movie they're going to see?
No, I don't. We typically don't right until they go, because it kind of depends on what they're.
It's going to be a good movie
It's
with
gonna be
popcorn and a drink. With our community helpers, chorus, what else, newspaper, and peer mediators. And for teacher appreciation, that was a big expense. We spent $1,500, almost $1,600. That was gift cards for all of our teachers, including the paraprofessionals.
We have a thank you card from our staff for PTO.
Thank you.
And also have one from Westview, so thank you, they're very, very appreciative, it was very
Yeah,
generous.
was
We
really
wanted to give them
generous.
a good surprise.
It was a big surprise, thank you
This
so
year,
much.
we didn't have to pay for lunch because we asked parents to donate money or goods, and they covered it all. We took in $388, so we did chicken, pizza, and pasta. Yeah, so. But other than that, we're still at a surplus of $3,800 collected for this school year alone, which field day and fifth grade will just wipe it out.
Yeah, a lot of expenditures there.
Yes.
I know this year we're not doing t-shirts for field day.
Ms. Hernandez is looking into water bottles, so this way the kids can refill them.
I was just throwing this out there, maybe we would consider doing t-shirts for the start of next year, so that the kids could wear them all year, and then they'd have them for field day. So I don't know, just get more use out of them. Be good for like our spirit days and stuff like that. So,
Good idea.
Yeah, that was I had a couple of questions about if they were doing t-shirts or if the kids should wear them from last year, but I'm like,
Cover it up with the
Yeah.
sticker 19.
but yeah.
well, that'd be great.
Okay, so I know our viewers on YouTube can't see this, but it's okay, we got it from the news. So.
Our vice president can read it out loud.
Oh. So the Girls on the Run is a organization that fifth grade girls get invited to participate, and they train for running a 5K, which actually going to do this Saturday morning, and it's way out in Joliet Motor Speedway. But a significant part of the program is well beyond the physical aspect of training, and it's all about developing self-confidence and developing a lot of team kind of thinking and being supportive and encouraging of one another, which if we know anything about adolescent or pre-adolescent girls, that's not always the natural state of affairs, to say the least. And so an expectation for their club is, in addition to the training and kind of the learning and supporting that they're doing along the way, is to come up with a service project idea. And Mrs. Marks, our school social worker, Mrs. Ickler, our LMC director, co-sponsor this club. And what's always awesome about that is that they really put it up to the girls to come up with things. So they try to make this not very adult facilitated. And so the girls post a letter to the executive board of PTO. It says, we are the Girls on the Run for this year's community impact project. We would like to make a special treat for the bus drivers. We chose the bus drivers because they drive us to school and back to our homes. We realized that the bus drivers don't get enough appreciation for what they do for us. To make the bus drivers feel appreciated, we would like to make a little gift for them. We would need $82 to buy the supplies needed. We would be spending $27 on sweet treats that would go into the water bottles. That would cost $55 for a 12-pack. We are making these projects for our bus drivers and for Ms. Pam because she directs all these great bus drivers. Thank you for your help. It is greatly appreciated. Sincerely, Girls on the Run. So they came up, they did the research on the items and came up with a proposal for the PTO, which I knew we had the funds and
We wouldn't say no to that.
wouldn't say no. But it was nice that they took the time to, to coordinate themselves and a couple of girls. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But this was during Teacher Appreciation Week. And so I really do hand it to the girls for sort of realizing that while our teachers and support staff certainly deserve appreciation for what they do, to look beyond that to other members that are what I would call behind the scenes, and to identify the bus drivers. I will share that when our, I think it was Mrs. Acorn, called Ms. Pam, our transportation director, there was a long pause on the phone, and she said, I think I'm going to cry. Because they do go unnoticed. And so it was just really, really special that the girls did this, and then also had a thank you note because they completed their project, and then follow-up thank you note, which wonderful manners that they're learning here, asking something, saying please and thank you.
Handwritten notes.
Dear PTO, thank you for supporting our community impact project. Sincerely, Girls on the Run. So I'm very proud of the girls and looking forward to them having a wonderful race this Saturday as they participate in the 5K. Thank you, PTO, for supporting that project. Perfect thing to do for kids. I lost my spot. Where am I? You're back on the agenda now?
Yeah.
We'll add that we already have the PTO, it's called a financial updates already on our website. It's already posted. So what we just shared is already available.
And if anyone wants to see a real breakdown, we have the traditional financials.
We are very focused on being transparent. It is linked, it's called on the Westview PTO website, 2018-19 Oakbrook Westview PTO financial summary through 5/14/19 posting. Okay, back to the agenda. Principals reports. Sure, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I had to add a little humor today. I found this and thought I'd share it. This always seems like a very long month. The weather's turning nice. We get a little antsy. The kids want to be outside, and we've had kind of a crazy long winter. So it is nice for finally getting some sunshine. So just want to start with my reports with the students, and as always, Mr. Butter and I kind of overlap in some things, but students are finished with their spring math tests. We got all of our makeups done on Monday, yesterday. We had a couple kids, so looking forward to seeing those results, and we report those to the Board of Education during our June board meeting. So that's always, it's a fun time, to see how much progress these kids have made over the year. I know this is one test, but we have a lot of other things that they're doing so well in the classroom. A lot of hard work goes into that. So exciting. Just wanted to mention our field day will be on Thursday, June 6th. I know it's a little unorthodox. Our last day of school is Friday, June 7th. So on that day, report cards will be going home on June 7th, along with the school supply lists, any other communications, excuse me, that need to go home. Backpacks should be brought to school on the last day. I know that's not typical, but they'll be packing up their things on Friday, so they'll need their backpacks and some extra bags to carry all their stuff home. And then Wednesday, June 5th, students are returning their devices in. So Mr. Halverson and Mr. Cook will be over here collecting their devices, their chargers, and their cases. If those students are attending summer school, they'll ship those right over to Westview, so they'll be there when they start summer school. And I want to say we got a new garden installed this weekend. I don't know if you guys would be interested in taking a peek outside if you haven't seen it, but if you guys want to go out there, I'm not going to force you to. Stop by sometime. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's no lock on it. You guys can go in there. There is a lock on our shed out there, but they supplied us with everything we need. And the nice thing is, and Mr. Butterman was there with his daughters on the build day. They're continuing the relationship with us where they'll be providing us a $100 gift card every spring with Schwartz Nursery in Addison, so that we can get more plants if we want to do annuals, if we want to get more perennials. It's a great partnership. And last year they installed a garden at North Elementary School in Addison, and the principal came out here on build day. So I was able to meet him, and they have a after school gardening club. They call it the Garden Nerds.
That is so cute.
It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
You need to copy that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but he said, hey, I mean, he's very passionate about it. I love it too. We got it obviously, but he's like, we'll have a split party. You know, our plants get too big, we can swap plants. And I'm like, all right, this sounds good to me. So it's really exciting, and I mean, the kids going out there. I mean, if you took your class out there, I know everybody pretty much did, but they're just so excited. There's plants, there's flowers, we get our hands dirty, and it's okay. So, but the shed has gloves for the kids, rakes, a wheelbarrow, hose, hand tools. I mean, so they're going to be a part of it. And it's nice because the company we worked with from Vermont, they have pretty much the same climate as ours. So
I didn't think about that.
yeah, so she's like, I can recommend for you guys
Yeah.
what you should plant now, and then we can harvest, say, in the fall or plant in the spring, you know, so the kids will be able to get the most out of the garden, and they can see their hard work. And, you know, I think they were saying it doesn't come from Jewel. You don't grow it all at
Yeah.
Jewel. You know, it actually comes from a farm. And
They can also do some research and see what
Yeah.
will, be more successful to plant on certain.
Yeah, each grade level got to pick what we wanted to plant. So like, kindergarten got to plant, like they got to choose, first grade got to choose, and then second grade got to choose, so it's kind of neat.
yeah, so each grade level has 2 raised beds that they'll be, responsible for, and we're starting to figure out a watering schedule and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's just super exciting. I mean, there'll be things they can try. There's vegetables out there. There's pumpkins we planted, just the seeds. So come fall, yeah, we have pumpkins, carrots, lettuce.
That's the real deal.
May not be big enough for the pumpkins.
We'll see. Yeah, it's kind of a trial and
Cool.
error first
You
year.
have a lot of land to work with, a lot of space.
That's true.
So it's
Yeah.
it's really exciting to see what's.
Yeah, but on top of that, over by door 5, which is the teacher's door, there's bushes on the side. On the other side of that, we planted a pollinating garden. They said that will attract some bees, so that's why we put it on that side.
Nice.
And then also in the front by the sign, they planted some flowers. They weeded the whole front of our building and mulched everything. So it was just super nice. And it started raining as I pulled out of the parking lot.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So it was nice. Yeah. So moving on to the teachers, I just want to point out we had several teachers attend. I know Mrs. Walter was there. Ice cream social open house. Just very much appreciated everybody coming out. Mr. Buttermer and I are going to schedule some things looking at next year, maybe spreading them out a little bit on the calendar, maybe a little bit later in May, if we could get some decent weather to get outside. It's hit or miss with this time of the year, but nonetheless, we really appreciate everybody showing up, and that was fun seeing the buy one get one free book fair. We don't make any profit on that, but getting the books in the hands of the kids is our #1 goal with that. And again, we have the garden bill I mentioned. And I wanted to mention we had several teachers, not only here at Oakbrook, but throughout the district, complete their ESL endorsement. So just a huge kudos to our teachers. It's what our kids need. These are the things our kids need, and you see going back to school, it's not easy. Going after school, and
Teachers of homework too.
teachers have homework too. Yeah, so that was exciting to see throughout our district. And then moving on to the parents and our PTO, just want to point out next Tuesday, our 2nd graders had the opportunity to go to Westview. Mr. Buttermer will be hosting our soon-to-be 3rd graders over there at 7 o'clock with a tour and questions. And I think we've been trying to promote that with our parents of the 2nd graders. I think it eases their nerves and they get to see it. I mean, they're over there for young authors, but they'll go over that day. And then this Thursday, they're going over for a transition assembly with the 3rd graders. So they'll get a handful of times to be over there and get familiar with the building. And, it's not just 2 hallways anymore. They have to circle in the square to deal with. So that's exciting. Speaking of the garden, we are looking for volunteers. I'm still trying to figure out with staff how we're going to keep this up, especially over the summertime. So if you're interested or want to volunteer your loved one or spouse, you can go ahead and contact me.
That was strategic.
Nothing will get done.
There, yeah, right.
Oh,
Just like at home.
My services are always volunteered for, so I play that game, it's okay. But something as simple as coming by and watering or weeding a bed, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time to do it, but that's something we gotta figure out. Just want to point out, summer school again is gonna be at Westview, July 8th through August 2nd. I think I got those dates right, or were they wrong?
That was correct.
Correct, yeah.
August 3rd.
Is it August 3rd? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was on the day. But I just wanted to thank the PTO for their support with our ice cream social and Buy One Get One Free book fair. I know Mrs. Hernandez was here and Mrs. Brock setting up everything and stayed till the end to clean up and everything. So certainly appreciate that. It was another successful night.
August 2nd was correct.
Okay, great. And then we have our last Shining Star breakfast coming up, our trimester 3 Shining Star breakfast on Thursday, May 30th. So just want to thank the PTO for sponsoring that. I know that's a cost, but I think it's just, it's one of my favorite mornings of the year. Those few times, those kids coming up for their little trophy and the certificate, and they get to stand up there and hear all these great things spoken about them. It's really nice. And we have so many teachers support that as well. And again, these are our same things we put in here. If you're looking for ways to get involved, we're all ears. If you have any ideas, let us know. And we're still looking for volunteers. We have field day coming up. Again, I put that down there. It's rescheduled for June 6th. The original schedule, I think we were on that Monday 2nd, I think. So, yeah. That's all I have. I guess the last thing I wanted to say, I didn't put it on here, but there's flyers over there. We had Sones de Mexico, sorry, Sones de Mexico. I'm getting better at my Spanish. But they came to Westview yesterday to perform, here this morning to perform, and it was great. I mean, it was really entertaining. The kids, it was interactive, and then one of the band members stayed all day and helped out with the music classes, and so they made masks. That was part of the presentation, and they had a dancer, and they're playing all these different instruments, and it was very cool. So I did have a video I want to show you guys real quick. So this was the gentleman. We were in here, and so I got to give you some context of these things. So I really thought this is like growing up. I had a really creepy older grandma, and she kind of looked like this, but it was the mask. I did. I'm sorry. Sorry, but I was so afraid of her. But the mask was like, it was so well done. But she was hilarious with her dancing. She had like a conga line going, and then the band was playing. But once they came in here, the kids got to make a mask. As much, so here's pictures of the kids.
Sorry, the shirt's already a mess too.
They were loving it. So that was a gentleman that came back and helped the kids in here. There's all the little guys' masks. I know I have a video coming here. So he lined them up. They got to wear some of their hats, and then he passed out the canes so the kids were bending over like the
old ladies.
The old lady. And then here's the video. Well, hold on. I can put in the sound. Ready? So they're talking about tempo as it got faster.
It looks like, you know, it's like monkeys or something. Okay.
What's that movie, Lion King?
Yeah,
Lion King? Oh my gosh. Mustafa? No, that's not it. Who am I thinking
There is
of? Oh my
Mustafa.
gosh, I know it.
The old, I don't know his name.
Yes, that's it.
I've seen that movie too.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really good.
So they're performing a free concert for all the whole community tomorrow at Woodville Junior High, 6 o'clock. And it's definitely a family event. I know I'll be there. It's gonna be really, really nice. This was arranged by our music department through the district as part of a grant that they were able to acquire through
They,
JCS fund of the DuPage Foundation. Yeah, is that correct?
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things, they had to use the money or they could lose it. So they got a really good deal with this company and.
This is fun.
I know, I hope they get it
really-
again.
really great.
Very cool.
And they booked them through the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago. So we did, they were thanks to the mariachi.
They did La Bamba today too, which was Mrs. Welter's favorite. She was very excited.
I was.
Where's
I
the-
just couldn't hold back.
All right. All set?
Well said. Thank you.
Okay, I'll follow that. I want to apologize. The written copy you have, I have a whole bunch of problems. So I'm going to read proper dates here, and then we'll make sure we get this shared. But so our spring photos, since our last meeting in March, our spring photos and fifth grade panoramic photos went very well. We changed the dates, I know, because we were going to be conflicting with the IAR test. Because when we booked the picture dates originally, we didn't know the dates of the IAR test. And then when the state told us when we could test, we had those adjustments. But everything went smoothly. We had those tests in April right after spring break, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, and things went very well. It was noticeably shorter this year. There were 5 subtests rather than 7, and that made a big difference in being able to administer the English language arts and math test to students and not have it completely disrupt the entire month of April. So we're pleased to get those completed. Most recently, then last week and going into a little bit of this week, we are working on the reading and math tests, which have also gone well. And as Mr. Shermack mentioned, you know, the IAR test, the students take it, and then we get a report next year, and we send those reports home to parents. But it's not fluid enough for us to look exactly how our students are doing and say, oh, the student needs to learn a little bit more about, for example, perpendicular and parallel lines to be more successful with the geometry section, and then be more successful with the further concepts where that's going to be, you know, a foundational skill. It just doesn't work that way. Whereas with math, it does. So we use the data with math to inform immediately, and the data we get in the spring goes to the next grade level, and they use it immediately associated with the students in the class. So we really measure more growth, and that's what's really, really exciting this time of year, because we get to look at how our students at the start of the school year compared to now. We've actually moved to looking at spring of the last grade level, because we find that that's kind of the peak. So we actually moved to comparing the peak performance of the previous year with the peak performance of now, and really try to push students to do the very best and grow, no matter where they are, if they're above or below grade level. We had a wonderful open house last week that went well. Our chorus performed, 4th and 5th grade chorus performed there. We had the ice cream social, of course, and the Buy One Get One Free Scholastic Book Fair as well. So there are kinds of wrong dates in here, so I apologize. But things went well. We had the volunteer breakfast earlier where they also got to perform. Actually, was that last week or the week before? I think it was the week before, actually, before the volunteer breakfast on the 1st. So that's going very well. We had all of the students and staff from Oakbrook come over last week, and they were there for the Young Author Conference. It's a celebration of writing that we do every year. And just phenomenal to see the blending of grade levels and the kids reading to each other. I think the staff really enjoy it as well, because you get to see former colleagues or people that you used to work with in different buildings and so forth. But then also I think it's so much fun because a lot of the Oakbrook staff get to see the former students that they had when they were at Oakbrook, and now they're third, fourth, and fifth graders, and they've grown and changed. And now, the fifth grade student is working with that first grade student, from your current class and everything. So it's just really, really a very positive celebration. So it's a wonderful tradition we have with Wooddale. Lots of transitions taking place. Our fifth graders are getting ready to make the transition to Wooddale Junior High. So we have they're heading over to participate in an evening event next week on the 20th, and that is going to be an opportunity to learn about what junior high has to offer. There'll be a day where they go over there during the school day as well as part of the transition assembly. They'll have a panel of students that will also kind of address what it's like to be a student at junior high, learn about some of the extracurricular activities and things of that nature. They were on a field trip today. Fifth grade was one of the things we look forward to is getting the fifth grade picnic, which is next week. I know Ms. Larson has been involved in planning that. And that's always a big one, sort of like the beginning of the end of the year activities. And so they'll also start spending a lot of time working with combination locks, because as black and white as that topic is, it's something that sticks in their mind that they get worried about in terms of passing periods and so forth. So get some practice combination locks, and they realize that they can get pretty proficient at that, and it will go fast once they're actually there. And the sixth grade students usually laugh and say, yes, I used to be nervous about that, but it's no big deal now. So very well. Our picnic, as I said, is coming up, so we're very appreciative of volunteers, both in advance as well as on the day of that celebration. Our second grade students, as Mr. Sherman mentioned, getting ready to come over to Westview as third graders. We'll do our transition assembly this week, and then next week, Tuesday the 21st, is when we have our evening event for families to come by and take a tour. I'll also be coming by next week, a couple different days to read to the second grade classrooms. I don't remember if I'm a surprise or not, but it's scheduled.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think
No.
second graders will watch the video on YouTube, but
You always have a pleasant surprise over here.
oh, thank you. Ms. Jones has arranged that with me to come in, and so, but I always enjoy, just building some excitement about the transition. I never really anticipated much anxiety regarding the transition between second and third grade. It's usually very, very exciting, and they're making that transition together. Our spring band concert's taking place next week on Thursday the 23rd, so we're looking forward to that as usual. It would be the second time our beginning band students are performing, so it's always a nice chance to see growth in their abilities as well. Our field day is scheduled for Wednesday, June 5th, and that is a rain or shine. And so we're just getting started with coordinating that now. So I'll be meeting with Mr. Suluco actually Friday to go over that. And then our last student day of attendance for students is Friday, June 7th, and that is a regular school day. Dismissal. In terms of staff, I already mentioned what a great job our staff did with administering all these assessments, and it's not just about going through and administering assessments, but it's about maintaining that motivation for students so that they're putting forth their best effort, because there's no sense in having students take a test if they're not actually trying hard, because we don't get to see the true growth then if they're not putting forth their effort. And so that goes for the IAR as well as the math. Our PTO, so appreciative of, our teachers are so appreciative of PTO's efforts last week for Teacher Appreciation Week. I know we've already shared a couple of written notes thanking PTO for that. Mrs. Weikenheim was not able to be here tonight, but did send me a text message and also said, thank you so much for all the amazing treats during Teacher Appreciation Week, as well as the generous gift card that they all received. So we appreciate that. Between breakfast treats and lunch, that carried over to leftovers for lunch, and it was just wonderful. I had to watch how often I was visiting the teacher's lounge over the end of last week. I think we still have some things in there this week, so very appreciative. And also felt that was nice that it wasn't just our core group of PTO, as much as we appreciate that. There were people dropping things off during the week too, and so it was really very pleasant. We have finished what I like to refer to as our strategic class placement process for next school year. It is definitely not random. I like parents to know that. I received an email actually just today with regard to class placement, and it is not something that is just computer generated. We're very, very thoughtful and strategic about matching kids not only to where we can get good connection with the teacher and the style of that classroom, but then also paying attention to the children in the classroom. So it is quite a process we use. I know both buildings to be very thoughtful about that. I had this on the agenda on my report last time in March, but Mrs. Acord, I know had mentioned, we had Scholastic, usually use Scholastic as our book fair vendor. We use Follett as our book vendor for purchases. So she had inquired, is that something we might consider? I suspect the response from the PTO executive board is, sure, if we have a volunteer that wants to look into that. And so I'm going to leave it on my report. That's why I just copied and pasted it to this. But I know Mrs. Martins has been our volunteer for that over many years at Westview. And having a third grader at Westview, we're certainly hopeful she'll continue in that role. So I'll probably pursue that with her. I don't know much about the fair. Has anyone ever been to a Follett book fair?
I think we did Osborne here one year.
Yeah.
They're more
I've been to those,
they're more
yes.
nonfiction books. I think they're all nonfiction actually, but
They're very good. I know they're more expensive.
they're more
They are more
expensive. They're better
expensive.
quality books.
They're hardcover, most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
They're very good. They're very engaging. Like kids are attracted to them and want
Bad registers.
bad registers. Well, that does matter. Was that a big?
The new Scholastic ones seem. I mean,
Yeah,
they
I
look
liked
like,
it.
They look like they're working very well.
Pretty content with Scholastic. I think they provide a lot of opportunities for
Yeah.
different levels and
Well,
and
and we don't,
budgets.
it isn't
I don't know
broke.
how full it is,
Yeah.
but we can definitely look
well,
into
in
it.
Scholastic, we don't put out all the tchotchkes, all the pencils, the tchotchkes, the pencils
She
and
researched the
the junk.
bookmarks.
Okay.
I'll say,
Talking robot thingies.
yeah, I mean, that stuff.
Oh, that would have been a disaster for me.
But I mean, we still had
Glad
this.
you don't.
We were still packed with books. We had so many books to put out.
Yeah.
Right. So
A lot of good choices, I mean, this year.
Yeah.
So-
It's not broken, that's for sure.
But it's definitely something that to
Yeah.
consider, why not,
Try it
there
out.
could be other.
Move on to the parents and PTO section. I've already mentioned how appreciative we are of all of our volunteers making these events happen. We have our fifth grade parent night I mentioned on Monday night at junior high at 6:30. We're already in the process of planning our meet and greets. We typically go back and forth with Westview and Oakbrook, so I believe Westview will be 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. This is on August 16th. We'll have all that on our website and communicate all that through our back to school things. That'll be starting the next school year, but we will continue that tradition of a meet and greet that's been well received. We have a spring parent survey that'll be launched both on our websites. We'll be sending out, principals will be sending out each school emails and probably text messages because you can do them right online. It's a Google form. It's 9 questions, all of which are check boxes. You can type in a narrative comment if you want to. We do ask for, we're really interested in getting as many people as possible to participate. It's a very brief survey, but it's helpful to give us some feedback on a couple of key items. And it is something that we look at change over time on a couple of items. I wanted to mention the school supply kit ordering. We decided at our last meeting we were not going to be providing that service as a PTO in terms of coordinating, but it had gotten easier to do so through Target, I believe, where you could tell them the school and the grade level, and they would essentially collect those items, and then you could come pick it up. Basically how it works, right? Kind of like on regular online shopping. I just wanted to know if we needed to coordinate that in any way. They have our school supply list, if that's adequate.
I think Virginia already sent that. I'll double check.
Okay, and then if we want to put things on our websites or anything to make it easy for parents, if there's
That
a.
would be great. Something new to me, I didn't know that there was a.
Yeah, we need it.
It seems like this whole, and like, I'm sure you can do it with Amazon too, and so.
Yeah.
Get all those things.
But probably Amazon would not have access to our list versus my understanding is Target already has the list, right, for the surrounding schools.
And yes, you're
Yes.
correct. I wouldn't be surprised if you couldn't do that with Amazon.
it's probably quite easy. You could probably upload our list,
Oh,
make it available. I don't know if you can check into it.
that's cool.
Yeah.
If I remember,
There's
that would be,
probably,
that would be
There's
wonderful.
probably a drone working on it right
Okay.
now, so.
Who's listening to us?
Just the last items, as usual, I wanted to mention that we are so appreciative of our cultural arts. We had our final cultural arts presentation for 5th grade, which was an ancient Egypt presentation. It's one we've done for many years, but it just hits the mark for the curriculum, and it went very well. Again, they performed it April 15th. So very appreciative of that, because the PTO finds those presentations, and it's not the type of thing that we can necessarily do as a faculty. That concludes my report. Any questions I can answer? Right. Moving on, teacher representative report. I've already shared a couple comments from Mrs. White and Mrs. Walker with you.
Ours, we were also very thankful for everything that was done for us last week. I gave the thank you card. And, yeah, we just had a couple questions about if the shirts, if they were supposed to wear from last year or what.
Mr. Fielder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we could try to coordinate with what we
Yeah.
want to do, just.
Yeah, and we talked about the ones for the beginning of the year too. I remember last year, the year before. That's a good idea too.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, so just to clarify then for field day, is it just going to be spirit day and wear your spirit wear or what you plan on doing for that day?
Or what if the
Since we
classroom's
don't
coordinated like a certain color?
That could also be.
Yeah.
Or grade
We can do
level,
that too.
Yeah,
Like-
grade level.
right? First grade on second.
Bring that to BLT.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Our next section is committee reports then. We don't have anything specifically listed except to remind you that we have our signups on signup.com. We have broken them up by school to make it a little more convenient. This time of year is probably not quite as much of a challenge because so many of the events have passed. But at the beginning of the year, that's very, they're highly populated with events, so it's a little easier to coordinate with school. I will, field day is one event that I will still do paper pencil, just because has worked really well. And that's what I know the school community is used to. So those will likely not go home this week quite yet, because we have those additional days and we're gonna be ending, gonna be a little later in June. They'll probably go home early next week, the paper copies. But we'll, at Westview, we'll offer opportunities for people to volunteer for the morning, the afternoon, or all day. So I don't know what your timeline is for parent volunteers. Will you do it online or will you do paper?
I think we did paper. We've done paper in the past. I think that's, again, it's not broken.
And I know our-
school, but
Our form, in the same form, you can indicate also if you're going to send in items for lunch. So,
Yeah.
And you can pick different shifts, morning or afternoon, right? Is it gonna be all day?
yes.
Now that it's 2 separate days, you're still planning on doing a full day, correct? And the last day of school will be the same for both schools?
Full day.
So Westview kids are coming back for 2 extra days,
After field day.
correct, after field day? They have Thursday and Friday, okay.
Correct.
It's just, it's a mental, no, I need to repeat it to myself.
Yeah, no,
Very good, okay.
yeah, I'm glad you asked, because we don't want any confusion.
No, yes, thank you.
We have some items listed under old business, but I think maybe with committee reports for that section, maybe I'll, Ms. Larson, do you have anything regarding the picnic? Mention? I know you've become kind of the de facto chair of that. I don't think you want that title, so we're gonna say volunteer extraordinaire.
Yes.
No, I have it all situated, so prizes are bought, crafts are bought. I'm waiting to get the food. I think everything's taken care of.
I mean, it's one of those events that, again, we know it's worked, so there's a lot of details that we just best to repeat on that because it's.
I found 2 volunteers. The 2 things I didn't want to do because I was doing all these. So I did find a volunteer for watermelon
Awesome.
and I found a volunteer for the water balloon. So
Great.
there's that.
Awesome.
Hopefully it doesn't rain.
I was gonna say, weather is always the key. We will do it rain or shine, so.
Water balloons in the gym.
No.
Slippery.
I was like, really?
Right?
Sometimes we go to plan B and then C, D, and E have to be brought out.
When do you make the decision?
Likely, like
Like the day before?
midday the day before. But we'll all be watching and it'll probably be pretty evident. It's rarely a difficult call, let me put it that way. Usually like 90% thunderstorms or something like that.
Because the watermelon and the balloons would be out then, or do they still do the?
Watermelon, we would still do,
Okay.
just under different circumstances, yeah. We would pull them back to the multipurpose room after the lunch periods, and we see them at the tables. And the water balloons we save, we would still use, they've already
That's what I'm
done,
picturing.
we would save them, and as fifth grade, we do a subject to the end field.
What's going on?
Oh,
What do you do?
okay.
We can not eat watermelon if it rains?
Is it a watermelon eating contest?
Yes.
Oh.
So I figured.
I was like,
So we just do it in a different.
Blueberry pies.
Switch it to cheeseburgers or something.
All right, well, thank you again for taking that on. Other items I've listed under old business, Portillo's Family Night Low turnout, somewhat rude employees, so we'll find a new location. This is on YouTube. So we'll find a location to fill their spot. All right. So we're gonna wear, anyone would like to elaborate, or is that enough said?
I did drive through. They were
I was
nice.
in.
They just weren't very pleasant. It wasn't like the Wendy's experience. They were very helpful.
They
It was-
appreciated business.
It was very hard. Like Virginia had family members showed us the receipt and they didn't have it going to the fundraiser.
Mhm.
So it was just.
That's
emotional.
It is.
Okay, sorry, it was a bad experience, but that's, we have the access to the market of customers, and so we use that for everything else. Teacher Appreciation Week, busy. Thanks for all the help and donations from all families. Glad we were able to hopefully make teachers and staff feel that we truly do appreciate everything they do for the students, school, and the community. Thanks. And clearly, yes.
Mission accomplished.
Yes, mission accomplished, good way to put it. Oakbrook and Westview open houses. Oakbrook, low attendance, but pretty good in book sales. Westview, better attendance, sold out of ice cream. I know we didn't buy more ice cream, we took over what we had, because it was just 2 days later,
I think
so
we had like 360 ice creams we shipped it.
awesome. And I don't think we sold out to the very, I mean, like
Very
7:45 or something, going to 8 o'clock. Did you get your freezer back?
I think they did bring it back.
That was the way they kept, it was in the freezer, and I thought they were gonna put it in boxes and bring it over.
Oh,
And they
okay.
unplugged it and brought the freezer over and plugged it in, and I was like, well, that was. made
Smart.
sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And it got plugged back in, which I was happy with. Moms and muffins. Amazing turnout. We had 300 muffins and only had about 10 left. I know we ran out of coffee pretty quick, but we had people bring their own mugs and fill them up. Not sure how to solve that issue.
Leave
The
your
old
muffin at
school
the
with
door.
giant
I mean, your
pot.
mug at the door.
Warm mug at the door.
I think one of the issues we had, which, people are always welcome here, but we had a heck of a lot more people than who RSVP'd. So, Virginia had counted those very, very meticulously to the muffin, and always buys
Less
extra.
count.
But I mean, really, the last people that came in, the door was snaked out the front door. The line was snaked out the front door, and
It was packed.
it was packed, which is
I
great.
made
I
it
mean,
big.
we love
I've
having
never
people
seen
in.
it like that.
And we ran out of coffee because we always buy 2 things of coffee, and they're always left over. But this time we ran out. So
It was packed.
good problems to have, but a lot of smiling faces, very positive. It was great. And for the, I think, $125 we spent on that, well worth it.
There's a lot of people that were.
So it's a great event. That, dads and donuts, moms and muffins, it's always
That's nice.
nice.
Very good. New business. Executive Board 2019-2020. President, Vice President, and Secretary positions are open. We all looked at Ms. Anderson.
We just think that we should start bringing people up, get new ideas, fresh faces, and Kathy's going to be in 5th grade next year, so get somebody else acclimated.
The note here says the Madrigals are willing to take on, and apparently there's the couple are doing it, Mr. and Mrs. I don't know.
Are they?
But it says are willing to take on the treasurer for 1 year if no one else can do it for the 2-year slot. That's because the student is in 4th grade and will be in 5th grade next year. So typically the treasurer position is someone who commits to that role for 2 years, but that's something the executive board can decide upon because the executive board will fill these roles rather than hold an open election. That time is passed for anyone to express interest. If we had multiple people expressing interest, there would need to be an election, but that's not a problem that we typically experience. Lydia, Debbie, and Virginia are willing to help out in any way possible, but we think new, fresh faces, thoughts, ideas might be needed. We would hold a separate meeting over the summer with anyone interested to make a smooth transition. With that said, if no one takes on the positions, we will not be able to do all the events and sponsor all the assemblies, et cetera, et cetera. So, I can tell you as principal, we've been in this position before. There will be some people who will say, I am willing to help, but I really don't want to be in charge. And we will have to further explain what being in charge is, and eventually someone will likely say, well, I'm willing to do it if we can do it together and maybe kind of have, co-presidents or something like that. But the PTO will have to go on in some form. I have started the school year without an executive board, and it is challenging. We will make sure that the funds don't just sit there completely unspent, and that certain things have to take place, but there probably would not be a back to school picnic, and some of those things we wouldn't be able to organize them. So if any individual is interested, you simply need to express that to an existing executive board member, and we can explain what that would include. Otherwise, certain events just won't happen. That's the way it goes. Anything else to say about that?
Fun job. I'm willing to help anyone.
Transition is never an issue because we've always got very organized things to be able to hand over and say, well, this is what it would entail. And that's what we've done in the past. You can always make suggestions for how to run that position differently. We do it for school. Field days. Principals can discuss details, and a flyer will be sent out to volunteers sometime soon. And as Mr. Sherman and I mentioned already, we have plans for that in the next couple of weeks. But the dates are set. That's an important thing for the school communities to know about, that those dates won't change now that we know our end of school time, and we will be doing paper versions for soliciting volunteers where you can specify how you help. So I know a lot of folks take off work to do those days because those are biggies.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please.
I know a lot of people like paper and don't like this sign a lot of parents, because they don't look, they don't know what's going on, what it needs help with. I suggest before the school year is over for one letter to go out to every single family saying what the PTO does, what it sponsors, all of those things on a piece of paper. I mean, obviously, even the text message or email, but not, it's like this sign up, I don't know.
I had suggested that at registration, when the registration, like when they registered, I know, well, they had to do it online. Registration was online, so, but I mean, it was all done, so like on registration, click off, what would you like to help with in the upcoming year? Would you like to help with this, that, this, or this? Click one, and then we'll contact you. And that's, these are, some ideas that, I clicked off, for my kid's school, teacher appreciation, and then they contacted me a month ahead of time. Hey, it's coming up. Do you still want to do this? But they had to do it online. Everyone had to register, so it was there. This was something that they had to do. The paper could have been, but you're right. Or even at back to school, at the picnic or anything, whatever. That's the time, like, to get them, or at the curriculum night or anything like that. We have those things there that everyone's doing. Those are probably the times where you can say, not probably in the shifts, not probably like, how about now? You want to do it in a month? How about next month? Probably want to do it like right away for the whole year and say, we will contact you when that time comes.
Who coordinated that?
I'm assuming the school or the PTO. Yeah.
I was involved through another PTO organization at the other school my kids were from, and that's how they did it. It was the very first. It was the teachers with, it was staff mainly, and the Board of Education from the school, the board did it with them. They set up at the meeting, they discussed what the events would more likely be successful for the year. And they had a paper sheet, a sign-up sheet, and the volunteer that have helped throughout the previous years where they're explaining, this is what we've done in the past, and you just have to put your name down. There were no dates, no details. I know that one of the moms, this was preschool for my first one, so I was one of the people that, oh yeah, I want to be there for the Christmas. I think I put my name on every sheet of paper, but in reality, what it came down to is when it was closer to the event, they contact you and they say, this is the day, the PTO.
Yeah.
Who's the PTO here?
Well, now we don't have it yet, but you want to think
So with all due
about,
respect, I'm not putting out a piece of paper.
Well, no, we can't do that yet, but I think by the end of the year, something should go out saying what the
Yeah,
Give
say
us what
goodbye
it
to moms and
supports.
muffins,
Yeah,
say goodbye to dads
exactly.
and donuts, no more shining stars, like,
But
you know.
let's think about this, because I understand that there is, a body of people in an organization with a president, vice president, so on and so forth. But right now, we don't have it anymore, no? But we want to get people involved. We want to get people to raise their hand and say, hey, I'd be willing to help with that. I think that's a stepping stone. If we have a bunch of names on a piece of paper, although it might not be somebody volunteering for a president, it's somebody that is willing to help. So maybe with further discussions down the line, we can say, there are these opening positions, this is what is needed, and who's willing to do it. At least we're not speaking to 4 people, we might be speaking to 20 people hopefully, and someone will raise their hand or
It's
be
hard,
willing to
yeah,
help
it's hard,
more.
it's gonna be hard to get someone to run, but,
Yes, I know.
yeah. I mean, it's gonna be,
I think
But-
it's crazy that we don't have, I'm sorry to interrupt
oh
you.
no, don't be.
I mean, I know that other districts have paying PTO, like you need to pay to help. And
We
they
did
have,
that, there'd be no one.
but they have people helping, and it's just amazing to me that it's free. You don't have to do anything, I mean, show up, and I understand there's responsibility behind the chair, and the roles and so on and so forth, but even the meetings, there's only 4 of us. It's sad, and something is missing. So what is it? Is it because the events are not convenient enough? Are we making it at the wrong time? Should we vote on dates and
We
times?
tried
Should
that, we tried after school and we tried evening times.
I
Was
know,
everyone here when we did that? You
this
were,
is
yeah.
new to me, so I don't know what has been done in the past. That's why
I
I'm
think the
trying
issue
to
is
understand.
every year those officers say we have to do moms and muffins, it's a tradition. I don't care, I'll take off of work, you're gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and we're gonna make it happen. Instead of just saying, we don't have volunteers, so forget it. And I think that's kind of what we need to start doing. We don't have the volunteers, so sorry. And maybe then parents will realize, like, we need manpower, we can't just, you can't have
So you're
3 or
saying
4
not doing the
people.
event to just to prove a point?
Yeah.
But I feel that I understand that, and I could agree with you, right? Because that, well, understandably will put the point across, but who's paying for it? Who's really suffering? It's the children,
Catch-22,
it's
the
the,
school, the children.
yeah. So we're not really teaching anything to the parents that really don't care and don't want
But
to
then you have
be
no one that
helpful.
wants to step up and do the work anymore. Because when you go to events, whose faces do you typically see? And that's the sad part, so.
So that's what I'm trying to say, is that what would actually get more people involved? Is there something, could it be a survey sent out saying, all right, any ideas, or what will help, what could facilitate your involvement in your children?
That's part of our
Let's make it
survey
a
or something
point,
else. Part of
right?
the spring surveys or something. Those questions were added to this spring survey.
Yes,
that'll
this
be-
isn't about the moms having the muffins, but it's about the parent involved in the children, lives.
I would disagree, because we get 300 people to show up to Moms and Muffins. But those 300 people aren't willing to run Moms and Muffins, just to use that example.
Oh, yes, but this isn't it's not the true point of it, so
No,
I
it is,
understand
but
that
it's a
it's
case
what
study
happens,
in
but
all PTO operations. Getting people to come to events. I mean, at Westview's open house, both spread out with 3 different kind of events, but I would say we're probably in range of 300 or 400 people.
Yeah.
And then the ice cream sales would indicate that. But if I said, who can help to set up the book fair or take down the book fair? This is hard. So that's where I would disagree with you. I don't think that there's been a lot of apathy in terms of being involved in children's events after school that are related. It's leading. It's
Right.
leading. It's being in charge or something. It's very intimidating. I could go on with the events where we get participation, we get people to come, and we know some things, meals, childcare, convenient scheduling. Child comes to you and says, this is at my school, can you take me? That goes a long way, usually we show up. If there's children performing, all of those things contribute to high levels of participation. PTO has annually had difficulty with gaining folks who say, okay, but I want to help coordinate and lead those events. And so even creating a sign up well in advance, a year in advance, of the events, who's going to create that, let alone establish the date of the event that is going to take place and who's going to coordinate that event. We try to keep it going from year to year and then try to gain some key parent volunteers. I don't mean to lament the challenge, but it isn't necessarily new. And you said you're a parent of a fifth grader, but you've had other children come through, so you've seen this cycle as well.
Yeah, but I feel like when Jacob was here, oh my gosh, there was so much more involvement. I felt. I remember like room moms and.
I go way back 19 years.
I
There
mean,
was- that
like
when,
there
like,
was
Lisa
there
Martin
was
there.
like you
Yeah.
put here committee reports. There were committees, and there were volunteers for every committee. How is there? I don't understand what's happening that we can't even do that anymore.
If you guys have the answers, we're willing to, I mean, that's what we're trying to figure out too. I mean, we said we added those questions this year because of the parent committee wanted to know. I mean, why is nobody showing up or helping out?
We
with
used to
this?
have room moms. What happened to that? Like I'm just asking. Like why did we stop having like a room mom? No, I think I mean it
No,
just
I don't
like
think
it
so,
just
because
stopped.
I think
Like,
parents
one-
like doing that.
One
stuff.
year it just like stopped
I
and
love
we just
doing that.
we just said we're not doing it anymore.
Well, let me give you an example that would equate to that one, just the holiday party alone.
Mhm.
Okay, so I have 18 classrooms at Westview, so I need a couple of volunteers for every classroom. So if I went to, and I don't know, I don't use your room at primary level, I'll say at Westview, if I've got, say, fourth grade, if I go to that classroom and say, so we need 3 or 4 volunteers out of that pool of 21 children, which parent is going to coordinate those volunteers?
The room mom.
Who is the room mom?
You
That's
talked
what
at the
you, that's
beginning of
what
the
you
year.
initiated.
Well, when we reach out, we have multiple rooms that have 0 parents who've even expressed interest just to help, let alone coordinate.
And that's why a couple of years ago, we had to go to the stations, which you guys then incorporated because we didn't have enough room volunteers to show up.
So it's an idea that requires coordination by leadership, which we've failed to have coordination of leadership for
Yes.
multiple years.
But I don't know, I still see it, like the room mom idea, for example, I still see it as a facilitator, now that we brought that word up in my head. Like for you, like as a point of contact. I understand that having a president, a vice president, but you might have a more direct idea of what are the classes that truly need more help, that are needing volunteers, or by talking to one person. And that person can volunteer at the beginning of the year, and maybe like if one class, for example, has 5 volunteers, and the other one down the hall only has 1, maybe we can send someone
Right, and
over
that was
to
the
help.
committee, because I remember doing
And
that
this
one
isn't
year,
and obviously
years
this
ago.
isn't working and it hasn't been for how many years, right?
But like, I
So-
remember doing like a party, and like I was the contact, and I had to make sure every classroom had the volunteers. So if they don't, you can coordinate that though, from other, donations.
And we haven't had the coordination or the number of volunteers to sustain that model. I can't remember when it's been so.
Last year, for Christmas, for the fifth grade, I had more volunteers. So we were running around like the gyms and
And this is, like paper, email, text message to just that group of 121 families. Please, we need you for this evening. There's this party, it's in 3 days.
Do you feel that when the classrooms were having, I know that you mentioned now many classes had a lot of volunteers, but do you think that you had more help when each class had a Christmas party or a Halloween party versus doing it all?
No, that's why we moved
Together?
to that model. No, that's why we moved to the model of doing grade level things instead.
Even at Oakbrook, you feel that way, Mr. Sherman?
We haven't, I mean, the 3 years I've been here, we haven't tried the, room mom, head room parent, model, but I mean, there's been, the first year here, we did, before we went to the stations for Halloween or for Christmas or winter parties, we had several classrooms with no volunteers. And luckily, we had one parent, we had a kindergartner, and then we had a kid in second grade, so there's a couple people down there, so they went down and helped out, or, I think even one of our PTO,
The executive board members.
they just went and helped out. So I'd love it if we could go back to the model of having a room parent. I'd be all for it, but, I think that would have to be established at the beginning of the year, and if we don't, then we can't go forward with that, I'd love to have a room parent. The experience sounds like you guys had was positive, and where this outpouring of support is, I just don't know.
Well, just for certain things, then it's less responsibility for the PTO. I think people are intimidated because you guys do everything.
Yeah,
You do everything.
because you see us at everything. That's
So
part
it's
of the
like
problem.
if you had committee headed people for certain events, there's not so much pressure on the
Absolutely.
people that are on the board. They don't
But I
have to
think-
be in charge of everything.
I think too, though, and your point, I think that's always been, maybe that's kind of what we're going to, is, what, I'm not gonna do it because they'll take care of it.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna volunteer because it'll get done. They'll have this. You know what I mean? So that's been kind of what's been going, that's my kind of thing.
So on your survey that you have something like that? Is it just a checkbox you said that,
I don't do
or
that question.
if I went ahead and I made a survey and I asked for it to be returned, with questions or something like that by the end of the year, obviously have you both okay it. Can I do something like that?
I think this is gonna be adequate because it's across all 4 buildings in the district. Can you,
Mike,
Meet and greet.
Yeah.
I think especially for new families, it's good to see, because then I don't know, it's a welcoming feeling. It's wanting to connect with you. That's how I took it when I started in the new school, and I wanted to meet everybody, although I had a crazy schedule. There were some things that I could do, some things that I couldn't, but you know who I am, I know who you are. At least, I made myself available as much as possible, but I was used to the room mom atmosphere and the PTO, and it was very influential, if you would say, like the parents run the school, you could say, like in, the facilities where we were before. So it was natural for me to come in and say, okay, what can I do? Where do I start? And,
you kind of knew that was your role as a parent, to make a
Exactly.
contribution.
I wanted to be the role, but it was also introduced early on to me that was not a challenge, And although, there's conflicting schedules for everybody, but
You do what you can.
you do
pick the
what you
events.
can, indeed.
So this is a survey we've done annually, and the first 6 questions have been used per at least 5 years in a row. So we like to know how people are getting information, because that has changed over the years. There's always a narrative spot too, if people want to add additional information. Access to the internet has significantly increased over the years. How a child feels at school is something that has always been high, which we of course care about. School lunches, always a topic, but we like to track that over the years, because again, it's not just the data for any particular year, but we compare this year to year, and we compare it across the buildings. Because this is put out to families at EC, Oakbrook, Westview, and Westview High. If you're welcome to visit or when visiting my child's school, and make contact with my child's teacher about his or her progress this year. Now, these are new, 7, 8, 9, how many times did you volunteer and or participate? What prevents you from volunteering and or participating? These are check boxes where people can check more than one reason. So we hope to get some decent data out of that. And what would make it more likely for you to volunteer or participate in the future, and check more than that. So
You feed them, they shall come.
now the survey itself is something where we need participation, because if you get 25 responses out of a building with 350 kids, that is representative of your highly engaged families. It's not representative of your full school population. Therefore, the answers could be skewed to be the family that's already reading the item from home, that are already participating. So if you get 25, and 80% of those respondents already volunteer a lot, it's not indicative of the whole school.
And this is Spanish too.
It's being put out in English, Spanish, and Polish.
And this is online, it's an email?
Right now, they're posted just to the Westview website. They'll be going out to all the buildings starting tomorrow.
I don't have mine posted yet. I'm gonna send out Swift Reach tomorrow, and then we'll send paper copies home.
Paper copies, okay.
And they'll be out for 2 weeks. So I'm sorry if our tone of our conversation turned negative. And I will just say, as challenging as that sounds, I've been here before. Parents at all levels will choose to be involved, as you all do, as people watching this video do, because only people who care are watching a video on YouTube of PTO meeting. And we need more, so it isn't such a burden on the few. And that is not an easy solution, and we encourage you to continue to please give of your time and let us know how we can support that. But we have to operate the school, not operate PTO, and we know that parent involvement is significantly important for student success. But we have our priorities as well. So if we wanted to send a paper copy home saying, this is what PTO does, and could you,
I
anyone
just think
interested? Let's give it a
can't
shot.
hurt, and I
Yeah.
look at,
I
I've been
just-
getting
Well,
all the,
something's not
all the
working, it's
take
worth a
homes
try.
for fifth grade.
You know what I'm saying?
We've got a lot of volunteers.
I mean,
So it's like, people are gonna be there all day long, and they're coming to help out. I feel like if something went out just to say, and there is a need, we need a PTO.
Oh, yeah.
But also, I do believe that taking some of the
I agree.
responsibility off of the PTO and making it more committee-like, where parents do have an opportunity to say, okay, I don't want to be the president, but I'll run the rooms. I'll do that, but you know what I'm saying? So I think if some of that came off, it would be more enticing to want to be on the board. Because right now, I mean, my gosh,
Board
I
members,
wouldn't want to fill their shoes because I know what they do.
our bylaws indicate that the board members have very little specific responsibility except for facilitating, running the budget, not running classroom parties.
Right.
And
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea because I think parents are going to do that. And look at, like you said, people show up. They want to be there.
What if they showed up and we said, can you help me for a second? Just like 5 minutes.
And maybe
And then we try
the teachers at like curriculum night should like have this
Sign
stuff
me
out.
up.
Here's a sign up.
Sign
You want to run a jewel with me?
Sign this paper.
Oh, wait,
Why are you putting an
can you
input
just
on
stand
me?
here and like take the money for these?
No,
I'll be
no,
right
no. All right, that moves us to our
Sorry.
question and answer session. Besides the challenges of our actual organization, we're going to have Q&A topics. All right, then officially,
We have a lot of seats here we need filled.
yes,
Yeah.
officially we got
Literally and.
close of meeting, but thank you all for being involved this year, and we'll hope for a new, we need to go easy in recruitment, right?
Yes,
Yes.
that's where it starts. There we go, K school.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.